Welcome inside the IKS Media Studios. It is the SJHL Playoff edition of SJHL Weekly. I'm your host, Clark Munroe. I'm going to be joined today by, of course, our two guests, co-hosts, I should say, Jamie Neugebauer and, well, Rory McGouran is also here. He is? Here he is. There he is. Hey,
I bet they don't have that technology in the AJ.
Yeah, take that, Manitoba.
Yeah, Manitoba.
Anyways, we just Star Wars holographed Rory into the studio, but Rory McGouran's here from the Humboldt Broncos, of course, the free agent himself, Jamie Neugebauer. We have so much to get into, including two huge Game 6s tonight, which is the reason Rory's not here, because he's hosting one tonight. So he's got a lot on his plate in Humboldt, and of course, as well, in Battlefords with the Weyburn Red Wings there, Flin Flon being in Humboldt. And of course, two teams are moving on. So we have that to talk about as well, and so much great stuff, including our guest today, head coach and general manager of the Yorkton Terriers, who are moving on, of course, Emery Olauson. He'll be joining us a little bit later on the show. Before we get too deep into it all, we want to thank our sponsors, of course. They keep this motor running. And that includes Bourgault, Capital Auto Mall, Cantera Seeds, Chevrolet, Sask Lotteries, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrient, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. So let's bring Jamie and Rory back in. Whether it's holographic Rory or real Rory, Rory, you're the busiest one here tonight as you guys have a game. So how's preparations for Game 6 going in Humboldt right now?
Good preparations. Well, I'm excited to talk about it with you. Have another interview with the radio station coming up later to cue up the game. But there's excitement for Game 6 that the Broncos, have an opportunity to protect home ice once again and then bring it back to Flin Flon. And I know we're going to break down Game 5, but I got to give a shout out to one of the fans there. So basically the game ran out of hand, which we will break down. And there's a fan that's yelling, "Pull the goalie," which, just heckling the Broncos, used to it all across the SJHL. But then one fan yells, "Pull the broadcaster." And I got to tell you, one of the best heckles I've ever heard. I couldn't stop laughing, and the play was still going because I could kind of hear him muffling. I heard it a couple of times yelling it. I just got to give him props because it's a great heckle. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it.
That's a new one for me. I've never heard pull the broadcaster. If you pulled the broadcaster, would you get an extra coach? Would you get an extra player? How would that work? What would you get? I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know. Less of me, I guess, is what they wanted.
I guess. Maybe we got people yelling at Rory all over the place lately.
There you go.
Nugsy, we've been gallivanting across the province over the last few days for games. You're not going any tonight, I don't think.
Gotta take care of my girls.
Exactly, yeah. Family first, as we always say. Yeah. But it's been a great few games, and we were in Weyburn for that overtime win that Battlefords got the other night. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, my experience kind of completely the opposite to Rory's. Now, of course, I don't have a partisan interest in it like Rory does, but I did walk into the lobby in Weyburn, and guess what? Mr. Garth Grill, Jordan Grill's dad, of course, the Battlefords defenseman, saw me in a big smile. He's like, "I'm so glad you're here," because it seems like every time I show up, Battlefords gets a big win. And they've got a big one. So hopefully Cody and the Wings still let me come to their games. We'll see if that is a thing moving forward. But seriously though, it's been a lot of fun getting around. Obviously, we had a great time in Humboldt, and then a great time in Weyburn as well. So hey, keep up the drama, everybody. We're really enjoying it.
Yeah, really, really enjoying it. You know who else is enjoying it? We got some viewers tuning in on our Facebook and YouTube feeds, and as well as Twitter. So if you're watching on those, please hit the like button, hit the share button. Comment in. We want to hear from you. I'm not sure if the comments are ready to... Yeah, they are. Here we go. Mark Zosel. I think that's an old comment, though. We might have to update we have to reconnect the socials, which happens. My father is checking in, Rod Monroe, checking in poolside in Scottsdale, which is where I will be in a few days.
Okay.
Just humble brag. At my brother's house in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's checking in, says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen." Chris MacArthur maybe was the one that was yelling at Rory and Flin Flon. He says, "Good day, gentlemen. Go Bombers, go." Marley Shepard, of course, of the Shepard family from the Melford Mustangs, says, "Good afternoon." We got Danny Williams checking in. I'm pretty sure it's Dawn.
And you know who I also know is tuned in is Jacob Faith, the director of marketing, who's on the way to Battlefords as part of the Cantera Seeds Cup Tour. So if you want to see the Cantera Seeds Cup, Jacob's been going around the province with books that have a writer that I know something about.
Rhymes with Schmod Schmiederson.
Well, he compiled it, and there was a bunch of authors, including myself, that put the heart and soul of the SJHL book together. And though you can get a copy of that as well as a picture with the cup.
Yeah,
and Jacob will be there in Battlefords tonight, so make sure you come out to the ACC.
Yeah, Rod Peterson was the one I was talking about. Rhymes with Schmod Schmiederson. That wasn't an old comment. That was Mark Zosel on YouTube. I apologize to our graphic director Ryan in the back. That was a new comment. Mark Zosel says, "When are you guys coming to Melfort for a game?" Well, I just said I'm going to be in Arizona as of Thursday for most of the second round. So Melfort's going to have to make the final, and then I'll be there. I will be there. So Mark, save me a spot. But that a couple things have to happen first before that happens. And then Connor Brading's checking in. Chris wishes it was him. Maybe it was Connor in Flin Flon yelling at Rory. Either way, probably a lot of candidates for people yelling at Rory in Flin Flon. Let's be honest.
It was a top tier heckle, man.
That's a good one.
It was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Could be Cardell. Could be Cardell.
Could be Sal. Could be a whole lot of people. So yeah, if you're watching on the social medias, make sure again you mention it. Just throw us a comment. Let us know if you want to talk about anything. Let us know. Hit the like and share button. Let's have a look at the recaps. Well, we did kind of recap this one on Thursday's show a little bit last week. However, let's just dive in one more time. Just kind of get back up to date as to what went on this past few games in the SJHL. So Yorkton beat Melville on Wednesday to take a 3-1 series lead. Melfort, there was 3 overtime games, by the way. This is when me and Nugsy were in Humboldt for this one, which was a fantastic game in its own right. Melfort beat Kindersley 4-3 in overtime. Humboldt beat Flin Flon 4-3 in overtime. And Weyburn beat Battlefords 3-2 in overtime. 2 of those series went to 3-1, and then as you see, the Humboldt-Flin Flon series was evened up. The next night, or not the next night, I guess, but Friday night, Yorkton, were the first ones technically to win their series. I mean, by calendar, they were the first one. 2-1 was the win. They got the 4-1 series win over the Melville Millionaires. And then on Saturday, we'll just skip the score of the first one. But Flin Flon took a 3-2 series lead, I should say, over Humboldt. The Battlefords North Stars got an unbelievable win. It was such a great game in overtime. So that cut the lead of Weyburn's series lead to 3-2, which is now Game 6 going tonight. As I should have mentioned, Flin Flon and Humboldt are going to Game 6 tonight as well. And then Melfort clinched their series against the Kindersley Clippers with a 5-2 win on Saturday night. So guys, let's start with that Melfort-Kindersley series. Melfort wins the series 4-1. They won the first 3. Kindersley snuck one out in overtime. It was a great game in Kindersley for Game 4. We'll get to that a little bit more, and then Melfort wins 5-2. Nugsy, I'll start with you. The Melfort-Kindersley series, obviously a very impressive performance by Melfort, but Kindersley didn't want to go away quietly.
No, pardon me. And I asked Clayton Jardine, the head coach and GM of the Clippers, how he felt after this. And, he kept a positive spirit. He's a smart guy. He said, this year we played Melfort. Last year they played Flin Flon, the 2 number 1 seeds, 2 years in a row. The 2 teams in the playoffs that they want to be like. That consistency of effort, that consistency of performance that those teams put up, and that's where the Clippers want to be, and I think that was a really good answer. They took a lot of positives. They scored 11 goals in 5 games, the Clippers did, so that's not too bad. Mm-hmm. They held the Melfort Mustangs to just around 20% on the power play and scored only 2 fewer power play goals. Still, obviously, there were a lot more good chances for the Melfort Mustangs in this whole series. The XG over the 5 games, 4.6 to 2.7 on average. So kind of doubling it up per game there for Melfort. And Melfort, much better face-off percentage, much better Corsi. But still, positives, and we'll get to the Clippers, outlook moving forward in a bit here. But, I think the Clippers were hoping to see better goaltending. They got that from Jamin and O'Halloran. Their special teams were decent. I just think it was just it was just too much depth, too much experience in this Melfort team. And they showed why Melfort is one of the best teams in Canada. Forget about just the SJ. They showed it again, and kudos to the Mustangs, Rory, who are battle-hardened and have all that championship experience.
Yeah, I've been super impressed for Melfort, basically because they did this round as expected, just without a lot of hiccups, right? They didn't have a lot of glaring things that we're going on the show and said, hey, this isn't going to cut it in the second round. They roll right along smoothly into the second round where we expected them to be. We talked about the coaching prior to round one. They want that maturization of the players who have not had playoff SJHL experience to grow throughout this round, stay relatively healthy, which after game 5, a full lineup, you could say that they're relatively healthy. I'm sure there's bumps and bruises, a guy out of the lineup, but nothing glaring. And then, get into where they're supposed to be, the fight for the championship into the second round. They're the best second period team so far in the SJHL playoffs, which is adjustment-wise, goes back to coaching as well, and the players and the leaders listening to the coaches and making their adjustments work, outscoring Kindersley 12-2 in second periods. And I feel Flin Flon will give them a shout-out of, they're in this as well, but maybe the most balanced scoring offense in the playoffs is the Melfort Mustangs right now. Flin Flon has a case for that as well, but no hiccups for Melfort. And into the second round healthy, I think their fans and their team and their coaches and everyone around it have to be super excited with what they did against Kindersley.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing for Melfort going forward is that they are maybe one of the healthiest teams that is left, including the teams that are still playing, of course. Just in terms of, like you said, Rory, kind of all of their major pieces are relatively good to go. And I think that's huge, and especially considering what they went through last year in Nugsy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the only question mark really even start the series was the health of Christian Coombs. They rode with Madden Malacca for a bit, and I know all of us have talked about how we would trust Madden Malacca in that big game anyways, even though he's a young goaltender. But hey, you know what? I think Kindersley put up a real good fight. That's what we see in the SJ every year. We talk about this parity. Every game was tough and every game was a fight. You look at sort of 1 versus 8, whatever, 1 versus 16, if it's in the QMJHL matchups in other leagues, and it's just a joke. Like it's like 10 rip. Not in our league, and the Clippers can keep their heads up high. So let's look at the Kindersley kind of outlook here. 20-year-olds moving on from Kindersley for sure. Really, really good veterans in our league, so they definitely deserve a big-time shout-out. Zach Anderson was the showcase this year. Dawson Carroll, who's been around for a very long time, and I'm sure he'll go back to maybe he'll cheer for Flin Flon now, too. I don't know. Chris Tibbles obviously really showed up in the playoffs, had a really good playoffs. Mason Buchert, who's also very good for Kindersley in this series, quiet at the deadline from Larange, of course, great Larange Ice Wolf over his time. Ethan Hilbig, who's off to the University of Windsor now. Kyler Smith, who's off to Dalhousie University, 2 great veteran defensemen in our league for a while. And Cody Jamin, of course, who had his injury issues this year, but really figured it out late in the playoffs too. So there's the experienced guys that are going to be gone for sure, but there's a lot of returners, and we know that with Clayton Jardine and his staff, they're going to be working hard and adding more skill and more offense to this group that's already got a lot of pieces that could come back. You think about Will Christian, what will he do next year? He'll have a huge year, you'd think.
Huge year.
Stein Dostal, the flying Hawaiian, who they love. He was a rookie this year, and we often forget, but he was so important to that team. Avery Johnson was a big ad from Drumheller and the AJ during the year. He's a guy with a lot of promise. Ethan Sotner. Both Perlingers are still 07s, we forget.
Yeah.
They've been around and they're so influential. Rylan Wheeler and Brock Evans are both 06s. So, certainly lots to like there up front. Russ Demo and Jacob Dennis on the back end as well. Of course, Jackson Herchak. What will he do? Thomas Phillips they got from the MJ at the deadline. And, of course, Brett O'Halloran, who could have been a Rookie of the Year in net. And if he's back, boy, oh boy, what a treat for Kindersley to know that they have a piece like that up front. So, yeah, lots to like moving forward for Kindersley for sure.
Definitely. So, on that note, great season, Kindersley Clippers. Shout out to all those players that you just mentioned. We look forward to seeing what Kindersley has next, the next chapter of the Kindersley Clippers, what they look like. We don't know who Melfort's opponent will be quite yet. Mathematically speaking, the Yorkton Terriers have moved on. So if the series that are currently going on still finish the way that they currently are with Flin Flon and Weyburn, it would be Melfort-Yorkton series in round 2, but we don't know that yet. No. And there's still lots of hockey to play. So we'll wait on that, but Melfort is currently sitting and waiting for their opponent. for round 2. We're going to move on to the other series that is still going on right now, and that is, of course, the number 2 ranked Flin Flon Bombers have a 3-2 series lead over the number 7 ranked Humboldt Broncos. But it is going back to Humboldt, Rory, as we mentioned earlier. You're hosting the game tonight at the Elgar Peterson Arena, and the home team has won every single game this series. So can you break down what happened? Because I know a lot of people are saying what happened in Game 5. So can you break that down a little bit and talk a little bit about that series so far?
Yeah, certainly. So Game 5, we always say that things happen quickly in the Whitney Forum. Well, it's exactly what happened in that game. And in the second period, especially 4 goals in under 5 minutes. It was that quick. And after that happened, it was over that quick for the Flin Flon Bombers. Basically, could have packed the bags for Humboldt 10 minutes into the second period, and Game 5 could have been over after all that. It wasn't that the Broncos weren't ready for the game, because I thought the first period was exceptional for both sides. Broncos get a power play. Flin Flon score their first shorthanded goal, which is, a dagger at any time of the game to the opposition you're scoring it on. 15 shorthanded goals in the regular season, led all SJHL teams. They get that to kind of sway that momentum a bit in the first, but otherwise a very even first 20 minutes. And then 5 minutes in the second, and the game's over because of how Flin Flon turned it on. And I will say that, I've watched a lot of hockey. That second period might have been closest to the perfect period I've ever seen a team play in what the Flin Flon Bombers did. Advantageous, forcing turnovers. Broncos' mental lapse ended up in the back of the net almost every time. A little momentum gained by the Whitney Forum crowd, and Flin Flon took it. They snowballed it. They rolled with it, and they really just buried the Broncos in the second period. So impressed with what they did. They came in waves. There's really only one player on Flin Flon right now that doesn't have a point in this series, and that's Joey Lees, who, is one of their motor and energy creator type players. So it shows their depth of their offense. A 9-0 win is not indicative of this series, really, but wow, like a statement put on by Flin Flon. And what it does moving forward is you got to take a look at confidence and pressure. And I feel these are two things that complement each other very well, but they also repel off each other very well. So, kind of like water and oil for parts of it, but also like peanut butter and jam. When pressure goes up, players can often have higher confidence levels, but obviously if it's too much pressure, confidence can crack. Same vice versa. When pressure's lower, players can have less confidence because they're lacking the jam in non-pressure filled games. So they do kind of complement, but do kind of repel. And you got to kind of look where this is heading into Game 6. The confidence level, I think, for Flin Flon to know they have 2 games to win is huge. Also, pressure now moves off them and goes to Humboldt. Confidence level for Humboldt, I think, at home is the same as it's always been. But where is it if they win Game 6? Do they even believe they can win in Flin Flon? Pressure level, it's all on Humboldt right now. However, if Broncos win Game 6, it 100% reverses all on Flin Flon. However, confidence for Flin Flon at the Whitney Forum is at an all-time high after a 9-0 victory. So it's just 2 little edges that you got to kind of worry about. Ride the wave of confidence, feel the pressure, but not too much of it. And this series is not over, even though a 9-0 victory will say Flin Flon's going to run away with it. But home teams won every game. Humboldt's going to try and peel back a victory, and then they got to go find a way to win in the Whitney Forum. And if it's anything like Game 5, they will not be able to.
Yeah, and you know what? When you have a goalie like Dazza Mitchell, obviously that you are always going to feel like you have a chance in a game. I know attrition has been a problem for sure for Humboldt as well, and I think maybe the fact that there's a little bit of a lack of depth right now for Humboldt is turning into the fact that there's tons and tons of shots coming from the Flin Flon Bombers. Dazza has faced 231 shots over the 5 games. That's averaging 47 a game, and that's a high number for any goalie. But the Flin Flon Bombers, have done everything right. As Rory kind of said, Keith Gruner's over 60% on the faceoff dot, has won the most faceoffs out of anybody in the playoffs so far. He takes every big faceoff for Flin Flon. The Bombers have blocked the most shots in the playoffs so far at 81 shots. As a team, they're 54% on the faceoff dot. You know how I love my faceoff winners, and they're 28.6% on the power play. And the Broncos have done a nice job killing penalties this season, so it just speaks to how finely tuned of a machine the power play kind of anchored by Liam Hunks for the Flin Flon Bombers has been, and they are a finely tuned machine. And even in that game that we were at, Clark, the Bombers' power play didn't cash in as much as maybe the opportunities they had, but they were just sort of a tick off, it felt like. So
yeah, it kind of seemed, well, and Rory, maybe you can touch on this too. In the game that we just saw the highlight pack for in Game 4 in Humboldt, it kind of seemed like the power play, who had several chances, just couldn't quite get anything clicking, couldn't quite get anything set up. And obviously, they didn't do it either in Game 5. Is that a concern for you guys going forward in Humboldt, that the power play just hasn't quite clicked in the last couple of games?
No, I mean, the power play doesn't look pretty, but it was 4 for 16 and 25% before Game 5,
right,
and then went 0 for 4. So it's still at 20%. You'll take that number. It's not at 9%, right? It doesn't look pretty, I'll tell you that. It seems that they have troubles entering the zone. They have troubles maintaining the puck in the zone with Flin Flon's pressure. But the puck seems to be going in a few times on the power play. The concern with me is, again, staying out of the box. 35 times shorthanded through 5 games. It's 7 a game. So whether you kill off, 5 straight to start the game, your guys who are often your energized when you need a good shift for a third or fourth line, they're getting worn out. They're getting tired. And of course, Flin Flon, 2 more third period power play goals. They're going to punish you if you go to the box that often. We've been talking about it all year. But now it's not only punishing on the PK, it's punishing you in third periods when you're 5-on-5 because you don't have the jam in the legs by your bottom 6 guys who are constantly killing penalties. So the main thing is that the power play needs to work. It's, again, if Flin Flon has a 28% power play, that's fine. Don't put them on the power play 7 times in a game because it's going to impact a lot of other areas of your hockey game.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that remains constant is that Dazza Mitchell will be in between the pipes, and he was the Game 3 playoff performer, the UPL playoff performer. He made what was the number? I think
62
we said
saves.
Well, over the 2 games though, games
124.
124.
20, yeah, I think he gave up 5 goals on 124 shots.
124.
So 119 saves. Yeah.
So I think, and like you said, an interesting point, Nugsy. We were talking before the show. He didn't play the third period of last game, so we might see, not that that's going to necessarily be the be-all, end-all, but, a refreshed and healthy, ready-to-go Dazza Mitchell for Game 6. And that goes tonight. Puck drop is 7:30. Am I correct in saying that, Rory?
You are certainly correct.
Puck drop 7:30. Get your tickets now. I know the EPA is going to be buzzing. It was great in Game 4 when we were there. I'm sure that the community is going to get out in droves behind this one, so it's going to be a great time. A lot of Flin Flon fans were in attendance at Game 4. I'm assuming that will also be the case for this one. Should be a great time. Let's, gentlemen, move on to the Weyburn-Battleford series, if you guys don't mind. As we talked about a little bit earlier, Battleford stayed alive in Game 5 with a 4-3 overtime victory. Me and Nugs were in the building for that one. It was a great game. Really great game. And the Game 5 performer of the night, we actually have the graphic for it, was Nikita Ivashenko, who put together a great performance. Not only 2 goals on the night, but man, he was controlling the puck. He was being physical. He was under the skin of the other team. He was all over the place. So a huge game for Nikita Ivashenko. I didn't mention it earlier, but I should mention it now. The Game 4 performer of the night was Cody Jamin. From the Kindersley Clippers. There he is. He had a huge win, of course, back in that when we talked about the Melford-Kindersley series. Huge overtime win against Melford. I forgot to mention it. Just wanted to mention that now. But let's get back to the series at hand. Nugsy, we were in the building for Game 5. I mentioned it was a great game. We talked about how great it was in the building. Great crowd, great atmosphere in Weyburn, as I know they can do it. It's been a while since I've seen a crowd like that in Weyburn, but man, it was a great night and a really solid game all around.
Yeah, it was a good game. Interesting to see the adjustments. You get to Game 5 and team coaches have enough video and an understanding of what the game model is going to look like to adjust. What I started to see was both Battleford's and Weyburn, and both coaches have talked about the fact that the rosters are very similar and kind of mirror images, styles of play, want to get going, want to skate through the neutral zone. They got lots of speed and skill. But both teams were taking away that middle. So the game was to, stop being so robotic and forcing things within your system and, seeing this is where the opening is. If it's not in the middle where the system says it's supposed to be, can you figure something out? And I think the Weyburn Red Wings had a hard time adjusting to the Battleford's adjustment kind of as the game went on, and you started to see Battleford's forecheck starting to make things happen. Now, of course, the Weyburn Red Wings here in Game 5 did have a lead in the third period, and I think they played a pretty good, simple, smart, effective third period, a good F3, responsible F3. Angelo Zoll made some big saves, when needed to. Justin Merrick did as well. And there were times I felt like in the third period that Weyburn was closer to scoring the fourth than Weyburn was, or than Battleford was from tying it. But, that being said, great players show up at great times, and Nikita Ivashenko in our league is a great, great player. Maybe the best player in the league individually. He really is the offensive straw that stirs the Battleford's drink. He had 2 more goals in Game 5 to survive the Battleford North Stars, because if they had lost this game, it would have been over. They had to go on the road and survive, and Nikita showed up big time, scored 2 goals, had 5 shots total. He's
one called back.
Had one that he was convinced was in as well. So
I guess it wasn't called back, but yeah, they didn't give it to him.
He was convinced that it was in, actually.
Yeah.
Because I reached out to him for something, and he was like, "That was in for sure, Nugsy." And I was like, "Oh man, I don't know. I did."
It was very reminiscent of the goal that was not called in Humboldt for Game 4. Rory, if you remember, there was the one that kind of went off the post. Jacob Streetsy kind of shot it off the post. It was very similar, reminiscent to that, but it almost looked like it rippled net. So that was like the craziest part, was there was no post sound. It was a hard shot. There was no post sound. So it's like, oh, well, that must have gone in off of the net somewhere.
Yeah. But anyways, Nikita celebrated. But in the end, I think Weyburn's doing a lot of things well.
And then he scored like 10 seconds later.
They did score. It was a long 5-on-3. Yeah. So, when Nikita Ivashenko and the North Stars have a 5-on-3, Nikita's going to have the puck and he's going to make things happen.
Yeah, he's so dangerous.
But at the end of the day, Cody Mapes, again, they have 2 chances, just like Flin Flon does, to win this series. The Red Wings are doing a lot of things right. I think the scoring chances were a little bit lower in terms of odd man rushes than they were earlier in the series, both ways. So things have tightened up a little bit, and I expect it to be very tight in Battleford's tonight, as much as these 2 teams are capable of, I should say.
Yeah.
But Lucas Schmidt are over 70% on the faceoff dot for Weyburn. He's winning every faceoff. This series has had more mood swings than a pregnant lioness in heat.
Wow.
So there you go. It's been a real back and forth momentum swinging emotional series, and big part of me, I know Weyburn fans cover your ears, part of me is like, let's see Game 7, come on. But I know the Wings want to get rid of it, because I saw one of the questions in the comments was, when would round 2 start? Well, round 2 starts on Friday.
Yeah.
So if you don't win and it goes to Game 7, you play Game 7 Wednesday, and then you have to play Game 1 on Friday.
Yeah, you want
and that's
those
not
extra
easy.
couple days for sure.
There you go.
You mentioned Lucas Schmidt. Just want to give him another shout out. One of his face-off wins led directly to a goal. Yeah. And like you said, Nugs, we were talking about it all game long. He won so many face-offs. Huge shout out. That stuff doesn't get talked about much, but at the same time, it can directly lead to goals, and it did. It was a blast. Was it LeBeau, Chad LeBeau, I think, right?
I believe so.
Right by Justin Merrick. It was an unbelievable shot, and a great face-off win. So there you go. Rory, do you want to touch on anything here with the Weyburn Battleford series?
Not a lot. I mean, I would have been totally fine if Nugsy only said that line to recap the whole series and then nothing else afterwards. I would have been great with that. That was fantastic. I wish you would have started with it. We all thought Game 7 for this. And the wild thing is that only one time a home team has won a game. So if that continues, the series will be over. If it doesn't, then we're going to have Game 7, which we kind of all, out of any series, this was the one where we thought Game 7.
Yeah.
More mood swings than a pregnant lioness in heat. Yeah. But why would, you're talking about heat, like general heat? Because if she's pregnant, she wouldn't be in heat, because she's already been in heat. That's why she's pregnant. You know what I'm saying? You're just talking about a hot day.
I'm just trying to have like a good rhythm to the saying.
It sounded great.
Thanks.
That was an unbelievable.
You're right. I should have led with that.
That might have been the best thing you've ever said.
I'm still learning to be a broadcaster. I won a Holiday Inn contest.
You're a free agent.
I'm a free agent.
You're a free agent.
I'm trying.
That might have been the best thing you've ever said.
Okay. Other than, will you marry me to my wife? Maybe?
That was number 2.
Okay.
That was a close number 2.
Okay. Good to know.
Game 6 is tonight in Battlefords. Of course, that puck drop is also at 7:30. Very similar. As you can see, here's the updated bracket and here's the updated schedule. So Melfort and Yorkton have secured their spots. We don't know who their opponents are going to be yet. Of course, we need these other 2 series to finish up. But Game 6, both Game 6s, I should say, are tonight, and both are at 7:30 p.m. So keep an eye on it. If you're in the areas, get to the rinks. Of course, I always say that. If you can't watch it at the rink, get your Flow Hockey subscription if you don't have it already, and check those games out. Or just keep an eye on the box score on sjhl.ca. We got you covered there as well. So that's, I guess we didn't talk about Yorkton Melville yet, so we still have one more series to talk about. And our guest is coming up, so we will talk more about it with our guest, Emery Olauson, as well, head coach and general manager of the Yorkton Terriers. But let's talk about this series as well. Obviously, very, very close for most of it. Most of them are one-goal games. 3 out of the 5 games are one-goal games. Yorkton did pull off the 4-1 series win. And Rory, I guess we'll go to you on this one. The Parkland region. This was a crazy, great series. Obviously, the fan bases were, what was it? There was more mood swings in the fan bases than a pregnant lioness in heat. Not quite. Better when he said it. But great series overall, and Yorkton moves on.
Yeah, and quickly, because I know people love scenarios, the Melfort Mustangs, determining on what happens, can still technically play the Humboldt Broncos, the Battlefords North Stars, and the Yorkton Terriers. The Yorkton Terriers can play, I have it right here, the Melfort Mustangs, the Flin Flon Bombers, the Weyburn Red Wings, or I believe the Battlefords North Stars as well. So based off of these 2 series, Yorkton has 4 potential second-round matchups on what happens between Flin Flon, Humboldt, or Battlefords Weyburn. Nugsy, I know you're thinking about it, but I'm pretty sure it's correct.
Okay, we'll fact check you on that.
I'm pretty sure I double, triple checked that one. But for the Yorkton Terriers, I've been extremely impressed with, I wouldn't say it was the knock on them because they always had a high-powered offense, right? But we said that they got to score more than 3 goals a game, it looks like here, to win hockey games. With a 260 goals against average through 5 games against the Melville Millionaires, that's a winning formula for a team that doesn't have as high-potent offense as the Yorkton Terriers. And I know things get tightened up and contested a little bit tighter in the playoffs, but they're playing some pretty strong team defense here, and I've really been impressed with it. Callum Craig has elevated his game, who now has a 142 goals against average and a 957 save percentage in his 2 games that he's played, over 168 minutes played for Callum Craig. Both games in overtime, Yorkton Terriers win, both overtime hero, Tate Schofer. So you're getting a veteran guy that, wasn't the prime generator of offense in their regular season, jump up and elevate his game, a goaltender elevate his game, and team defense elevating their game. So really, really impressed with the Yorkton Terriers knocking off Melville, which we did think would be maybe a little longer. They take care of business in 5 games and are awaiting one of 4 potential opponents in the second round.
Yeah, and we talked about who at some point in the series, one of these teams would force the other team to play their style of hockey. And I think for the first part of the series, Yorkton drew out Melville and got them to play their style, and then it kind of reversed, and Melville kind of took the style of game in hand, and Yorkton had to win the Melville style, and in the end, Yorkton was able to win either way. So I'm sure, we'll get to Emery Olauson. We can ask him whether, how happy he is that his team was able to win, whether it was an open game with lots of chances like Yorkton likes, or a tough, rugged one like Melville likes. But the Mills, they adjusted. They got back to their game between games 3 and 5. They only gave up 6 goals over the final 3 games. They only scored 7, but we kind of knew that Melville might have a hard time scoring. Obviously, you mentioned it, Rory. Callum Craig had a lot to do with it, kind of took over the goaltending job from Ethan Farrow. And, I think, at this time of year, it's not about feelings. It's about who is the one that gives your team the best chance to win. And clearly that's Callum Craig for the Yorkton Terriers right now. And, for the Melville Millionaires, they have a lot to look forward to. So maybe I'll just jump quickly into the outlook here for Melville, if that's okay with you guys. But the Melville 20-year-olds, they don't have many. They really don't have many. So they can really, really be a great team next year. Melville can. They were great this year too, but they can really bring a lot back. Of course, Will Forsberg, pardon me, after
I like Bill.
Old wild Bill Forsberg.
Yeah.
He moves on. Reno Hodge, those 2 former Laurent Ice Wolves. 2 great SJHL careers there. Gab Carlson, a really good player by the end as well, and Matt Chemius, who's of course a terrific captain for Melville, and that's all the 20-year-olds Melville had. So you think about key returners, both goalies could come back, Ben Lorette and Nick Jeanette. Simon Perini, Preston Bearwald, Raiden Zacharias, Jaden Iogan, Brendan Olsen, Evan Layden, lots up front for Melville, and even more the back end. I love their back end this year.
Yeah, they were good.
And they only had Chemius, was a 20-year-old, so they could bring them all back, just like Melfort did last year. We talked about the decor, bringing all of them back. Noah Belial was wonderful in the playoffs. Boston Harkness, again, absolutely terrific whole season.
He's going to have a big year next
Wesley
year.
Golden, Bradley Nadeau, the list goes on. But hey, Doug Johnson's done a wonderful job bringing in young guys and empowering them to have big roles. Much younger than a lot of the teams in our league, let's be honest, and he got them to play a style of hockey. I don't know that the Melville offense and sort of confidence level maybe ever truly recovered from when Caden Drury and Ryan Rothke took off. But you know what? They won those, whatever it was, 11 games in a row, and they finished the 5th seed with how young they are and the way that Doug has developed instead of just trying to build an old team. And I give him and the Mills a lot of credit.
Yeah, I think they have a good chance of having a top 4 kind of roster next
100%.
year if they can get the right scoring mix next year.
Get a
I think
little
they have
bit
really
of
good
dynamic
chance.
offense in there, a bit more.
Yeah. Anything to touch on, Rory?
I'm good. Nugsy hit it.
Well, I think it's time then, if that's the case. I mean, we talked about the schedule already. We talked about Yorkton moving on. We talked about the Game 6s. I mean, I think that's time. It's time for Nugs and Notes. I think it's time for Nugs and Notes. So let's hit the, there we go.
It's Notes and Notes, Notes and Notes, Notes and Notes.
All right, Nugsy, what you got for us?
All right. First and foremost, tomorrow, I got a picture. It is Kyle McIntyre's birthday. The commissioner specifically picked this picture, A, because I'm in it too, as well as Jaden Iogan, and B, because he's handing out the league's most sportsmanlike player award, and we all know Kyle McIntyre's top 5 in SJHL history in penalty minutes.
Right.
So it's kind of funny that, sportsmanlike
The
player.
definition of irony.
Right. So anyways, happy birthday to you, Commissioner. We love you. We appreciate you. Happy birthday. The Warman Wolverines season tickets go on sale tomorrow. You can go to warmanwolverines.com and find out all the details about that right now. They have the prices. It's sort of for a family pack for the season tickets. It's $1,200 for the season. Kind of comes to $42 per game for your whole family, which is not bad at all. And then they have other sort of levels that you can go into, and they've invested in the Igniter ticketing platform, so you can sell, transfer, donate tickets, and all that. So it should be cool with the Warman Wolverines, and they really want to expand the amount of seats at the Warman Legends Center. So they need 1,000 season tickets plus, for the city of Warman to invest in that as well. So make sure you get pay attention for that for tomorrow. That's when it goes on sale. The details on warmanwolverines.com. The U18 AAA League, the Pat Canadians swept the Moose Jaw U18 AAA Warriors. Apparently the turnout for those was absolutely bananas. They won that championship on Thursday in Regina. The Patsies will face host Kenora, Northern Ontario champion Thunder Bay, as well as the Winnipeg Wild in the West Regionals, with a chance to try to get to the TELUS Cup in late April in BC, which I understand Sean Mullen will be calling, which our own Sean Mullen, friend of the show. And then also in the Junior B League, the championship there between Fort Knox and the Saskatoon Wesleys. Fort Knox is up 2-rip. For that Junior B title. Shaden Duliak, who spent time with Yorkton this year, is a key player for Fort Knox. Madden Wallace, who started the year for Estevan, is a key player for Fort Knox as well. And I also understand it's not my notes, but I understand Canaston won the Senior A championship
I saw a video of that.
too. So congratulations to all those teams that I just mentioned, and that's Nugs and Notes.
There you go. That is the Nugs and Notes segment that we all love. Let's hit a break, because when we come back, we're going to be joined by head coach and general manager of technically the first team to move on to the second round, the Yorkton Terriers. So stay tuned after the break.
Your new truck trade-up has arrived at Capital GMC. Volume pricing is back. As inventory levels go up, prices come way down. And right now, we have over 250 brand new GMC Sierras to choose from. Lease a Crew Cab 4x4 Pro Edition for only $269 bi-weekly plus tax with $0 down. Or work with our finance experts to get the best available rates. Plus, GM certified pre-owned inventory is back too. Shop over 150 vehicles, all makes, all models. It's finally time for your new truck trade-up, only at Capital GMC.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That's the population of Martinsville. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
In a year where Amazon sold its first book, Alanis topped the charts, and the Frappuccino became cool, we were there. Trusted by the Saskatchewan construction industry since 1995. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture.
So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets.
Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel Student Deals.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside the SJHL Weekly studios. Of course, the playoff edition. And when we have playoff editions, that means we talk to playoff coaches. So let's go out on the video chat now as we're joined by Yorkton Terriers head coach and general manager Emery Olauson. Emery, I said earlier that technically you're the first team. What I meant to say was chronologically you were the first team to advance to the second round. So first of all, congrats on that. And talk to us about that series with Melville. It was a very close series with a very big rival.
Yeah, it was obviously from both organizations' standpoints. Obviously, it's kind of a dream match. You got the intrigue of the Highway 10 matchup. The last few years, obviously, neither club has been on deep playoff runs or anything like that. So, obviously, in a perfect world, we don't meet each other in the first round, and it's the second or third. But meeting each other did ensure that one team from the Parkland region would be advancing to the second round, and luckily we did our job, and we're the lucky ones.
So it was a 4-1 series win, but like I mentioned earlier in the show, 3 of those games were 1-goal games, a couple overtimes mixed in there. How was the adrenaline during the series, Emery? I'm sure it was a pretty crazy series for you guys behind the bench.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a roller coaster, and like you said, very very close checking games. Obviously, they won 1 by 3, we won 1 by 3, and 2 overtime wins. So razor thin margins, but quoting the Fast and the Furious, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. So we feel pretty good about ourselves. We've earned the most break, which was much needed, and actually we enter the second round healthier than we started the first. We needed a push just to get the home ice, and it was all that we had just to get ourselves in, and with the home ice advantage with the Friday Sunday start here in Yorkton. So yeah, it's nice to have the extra couple days off now, and it'd be nice to know who we played now so we could start preparing. But we've got kind of a library prepared for the guys, and whether it's Melfort, Flin Flon, Battlefords, or Weyburn, we feel like just physically and mentally what we've been through is going to help us into the next round.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got too many questions then for you, Emery. You said Friday, Sunday. Of course, you couldn't play on the Saturday. I understand because the great Elvis Stojko is figure skating. Did you get a chance to check out Elvis Stojko, or did you hear how he was?
I didn't watch it myself. We actually in game 1 and 2. We had to book ice. It wasn't just an Elvis Stojko show. It was an Elvis Stojko weekend. So bit of a development. Figure skaters. We ice time in between our game 1 and 2 in Yorkton. Kinsman's been shut down for months. Our home ice was not available. We booked ice in Foam Lake, and they gladly took our money, and we went out there, and the ice was melted basically from the top circles in on either end. So we had about a half ice practice with our guys and all of our APs. So, you cram 30 junior hockey players onto an ice surface and you have a mid-ice practice. Game 2, we were not, we weren't as prepared as we would like to be. But even that, maybe it's a silver lining. Maybe we push too hard and take ourselves too seriously on a Saturday off, rather than a very brief practice in a freezing cold rink that somehow still didn't make ice was just what we needed. And yeah, the game 5, the game 2, 5-4, 6-5, whatever. I can't remember now. It was a week ago. It's a long time, but that game just, that game and game 5, I think, provided everything that you need to know about the Yorkton Terriers this year. Logos on the shirt, through it all, Yorkton Terriers together. You get scored on with less than a minute left in game 2 to go down by a goal, about 100 people. Luckily, of the 21, I don't know, by that point, the place was crammed. It was over 2,000 tickets sold, and then I'm sure there's some kids sneaking in the side doors and things like that. So the place was absolutely jammed, and then Melville scores, and the exits started filling up, and all of a sudden people were scrambling to get back to their seats with 4.1 seconds left, and Kate Schofer scored. It was every emotion over the course of 8 days that you can imagine. Almost surrendering home ice advantage in that game 2, going to Melville. We know it's going to be tough there. And losing by 3 in game 3, and the goaltending change. You have a 20-year-old who's been just so solid with that, for us, and since we got him here in Ethan Farrow, and Callum certainly has earned the opportunity to be the next man up, and he was in game 3. It was great to finish game 3, and then was lights out for the rest of the series, and it's been a little bit of everything, but so is our season. And like I said, we've got the healthiest roster that we have, probably, in all honesty, since the end of November. And some key players, going to be back on the ice and factoring in for round 2. So we feel we're ready for any challenge that comes our way.
And you mentioned ready. We all talked about, your offense and your power play and the chance creation and the high-flying, Denoyer Coyle combination, etc. But you must be gratified, just quickly, the last couple games, win a couple 2-1 games. Like, that's what people say Melville was so good at all year, and clearly Doug's an incredible coach. I don't need to tell you for his team to be good at that, but you must be gratified to see, your guys almost kind of play their way and beat them still.
Yeah, well, our team has changed a lot over the last couple of months, and our decor has evolved big time. Like we talk about a decor on. I heard you guys, talking about Melville's decor. They only have one 20-year-old. That's all we have too. In fact, we have 5 defensemen who played their first game of junior hockey this season, and their first playoff. Playoff hockey for every single one of our defensemen was this season. So we know, like through the regular season, we had a team built to outscore mistakes. But we've been working with our D. We've been patient with them, and we feel like, they've been through a regular season now. They're 1 year better than they were, at the start of the year, and I think they're they've come a long way, and playoff hockey, you're not scoring 7 to 10 goals a night. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what your roster composition is. Obviously, Flin Flon has proved me wrong in the last game. My prediction is that they won't score 9 tonight. It's tighter. Mistakes matter more. Teams are less less happy to take risks. There's way more video. Teams know each other. Games don't crack open like they did, and you saw as the series went. Game 1 we got 4, and probably could have had a couple more. Game 2, things started to get tighter. Both goaltenders let in a few, but chance creation, tightened up every single game this series. And then it's where does your depth come from? Where does your scoring come from? And how good is your goaltending and special teams in the playoffs? And our special teams have been great for us. Our power play actually is scoring at a little bit higher clip than it did in the regular season, which is huge. Everyone can look at our team and focus on Jaron Denway and Coyle. I thought Melville did an absolutely tremendous job 5-on-5 of limiting them. But every single one of our defensemen has points, most of them multiple points. All of our lines scored, and our special teams was great. So, credit to Melville. They played us tough. I like to give our locker room a ton of credit. We got through in the fewest amount of days against the highest seed of the lower seeds. So, if you look at the top 4 teams, the ones that earned home ice advantage, us and Melford are the only ones that got the job done in 5, and we did it in 1 fewer day than they did.
You talk about support, so I just want to know, how much did you feel it from a fan base where you guys have done a lot to gain their support over the last couple of years with some incredible work, outside in the community, bringing them all back in, making them feel that culture, and then you guys go 3-0 at home in the playoffs. Just how much did you feel that boom of community support when it really matters when you have home ice advantage?
Well, it's been building all year. The playoffs were obviously outstanding with nearly 2,000 fans at each one of the home games. But if you look past Christmas, you'd be hard to find, other than a Super Bowl Sunday reschedule against the game and a couple of Tuesday games. Our fan support's been incredible all year. If you take out our neutral site games, I think our average was nearly 1,400 or 1,500 fans a game, and in the second half it was good, and still our biggest crowd of the year is the last game of the regular season. Hopefully we can top that here now, but the community has got behind this team, and I think it's a relationship that goes both ways. Our guys are in the community, they're helping minor hockey, they're helping the academy here in town. Every time we've got an opportunity to go and be part of the Yorkton and area communities, we say yes. And when the community had the opportunity to join us through the playoffs, they're saying yes. And the gates have been great, and I hope they grow even more, whether we're playing Friday, Saturday this week, which is unlikely, or Tuesday, Wednesday. I'd expect it's going to be absolutely jammed again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the huge growth in average attendance for sure. Saw the metrics. I think Jacob sent us an email yesterday or something like that. It's amazing. So congratulations to everybody there in Yorkton. Last question for me, Emery, and really appreciate your time as always. And I guess I want to know what the plan is for the next little while. You have until Friday off. Teams will be scrambling and hoping they can finish their series off and get ready. But you've got this time now that you can take. So just take us through the next 5 days or so.
Well, we gave the guys 2 days off. They all had a bike ride and everything like that yesterday, but we were off the ice for Saturday and Sunday. And today was a Monday, like every single Monday this year. It was a ton of conditioning, some battle drills. We don't know our opponent, but we know the intensity is going to crank up even more. So it was an intense practice. Almost all of our APs that are in town were there. I think we had 31, 32 skaters on the ice. They were all giving her pretty hard. Actually, public skating had to start late because the ice was pretty rutted up. So no, we're just going to continue our routine. We've got 1 week of preparation. A little bit rare that you don't know who you're playing on a Friday, but no matter what, we know we're going to have to be well conditioned. We know we're going to have to put in our work, and there'll be a ton of clip and video either tonight or tomorrow, and getting the guys caught up on all of our system play and any adjustments that we see that we're going to have to make in games 1. And then the logistics of, booking hotel rooms and getting meals ordered and what time do we leave and when does the bus need to get here. Obviously that needs to be done in short order when we do know our opponent. So lots of work on our end, but we want to make it the week as routine as we can for our players.
I just got one more question before rapid fire because I believe this guy deserves a little bit of recognition. And I just want to know kind of what you've noticed. Tate Schofer, right, in the playoffs, he's a talented offensive player. But when we talk about Yorkton on this show, we've often mentioned NYA, we've mentioned Reese, we've mentioned Coyle. And we don't want to leave Tate Schofer by, the wayside. Dealt with some injuries in his past as well, but now has just come out and become that clutch player that you need, scoring both overtime goals. Just, is it a matter of him just being the healthiest he's ever been, or is this the game that he's just feeling the most confident in his game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I could say about Tate Schofer. I was kind of working on our 20-year-olds in general and how I think about all of them and what they've contributed to our organization. And I think our team this year was built. The fuel of our team is certainly our speed and our offense and our skill. And Tate has all of those things, but the fire that Tate plays with, it's kind of the ignition. He lit the whole thing on fire, and when he's in our lineup, we're a better team. We're harder to play against. He's hard on opponents. He raises the standard in practice. He's just a super competitive individual that it's. I mean, through the course of the first series, there's a couple of major moments in that series that put us over the top. The goal with 4.1 seconds left, that sums up Tate Schofer. He's been injured. Last season, he got hurt, and we put him on essentially IR because we thought there was no way he's coming back. He had shoulder surgery, and the only person that believed he'd be back was Tate Schofer, and he came back for the final push of the regular season. This year, gets injured again, and it's like, man, oh man, like this guy's 20, he's got to start worrying about his body. Like, what are the chances he comes back? And then he was back, and he's been through it a lot. He's a super talented player. He's got a lot of experience, most of it in the WHL. Any team in our league has taken a player like Tate Schofer, and when he's healthy, he gives you a chance to win, just like Desi and Coyle and any of our top performers and Briltsy. And the best thing about the playoffs is, maybe through the course of the regular season, fans notice the players that show up on elite prospects, and they're the players of the month and the players of the week and stuff like that. But in the playoffs, you start noticing those depth players, and the guys that really push you over the top are again, I mentioned Carter Briltz in a segment about Tate Schofer, but Tylen Hendrickson's come into his own and plays the same kind of blueprint of game as those guys, and it takes the leaders like Tate and like those guys to teach the first year guys and to show them the way, and that's what Tate's done for us. And yeah. 4.1 seconds left, goal, 2 overtime game winners. I mean, you can't say enough about the moments that he's provided us so far.
All right, let's hit the bumper. It's time for Rory's rapid fire. I have about 5 questions here for you, presented by Elkridge. I just want to know when the resting heart rate was at its fastest, when the heart rate was going to a 10 out of 10. Was it before the overtime in Game 5 started or after Tate Schofer ended it?
Oh man, that is... I'd have to go to my iWatch to see what... I mean, they're both proof, and I just remember... It wasn't when overtime started. I think everyone in the building was just sitting on their hands, and maybe the heart rate was as an all-time low then, where it's like, how long is this going to take? And, are we going back to Melville Saturday night or whatever? But man, and the goal, the way it happened, it was just a amazing backdoor feed, Coyle to Desi. And how many times have we seen that? And you're like, it's over. And then the puck gets up in the air, and then like, oh, it's not over, and then Desi bats it out of the air, and you're like, it's over, and then you're like, it's not in, and then Schoaf, does what Schoaf does and got to the crease and got the job done. So, yeah, I'd have to say probably when the place was going bonkers and it happened in that whole sequence, like it was loud and louder and louder and louder, and then all of a sudden the horns go off and the goal light goes on, and it was a Series 1 win, but when it's Melville, Yorkton, it feels bigger than that. And when you've been through what we've been through in the last 18 months, it's just a moment I'll never forget. And yeah, we got 3 incredible, like Coyle to the chauffeur, and it's over. How could it be better than that?
You got those 2 players as well, Denwaye and Coyle. I did not know this until after, share the same birthday, March 29th, just 2 days ago. So happy birthday to those 2 as well. But that would have been the day after you win the series. So did the team have like a cake ready for them to go on their birthday?
Yeah, we'll call it a cake. They all ate cake yesterday.
We'll call it a cake.
We'll call it
Moving on. We'll call it a cake. We'll move on.
Love that.
Yeah.
A birthday celebration none the least.
Yeah.
I know you have 3 sons, and then one might be too young, but I know they watch the show, and we really appreciate that. I'm also going out on a limb here and guessing that they're probably Marvel fans by their age, potentially some superhero fans in there. If they were to pick one terrier to be Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, who would they pick?
I'd have to phone a friend. To be honest with you, my kids are, well, first I got to correct you. I have 4 sons. My wife and I have 3. So
4, okay.
Yeah, I'm blessed with 4 boys. Are they Marvel fans? I'd have to just go with, maybe I'll go with who I think individually their favorite character might be, and then connect them with their favorite player. But and I'm still gonna totally miss because I don't know the Marvel characters.
You can pass if you want.
Yeah. I'll have to phone a friend, and I'll text you guys the answer to that one. I'm sure all 3 of them are going, it's so easy, Dad. It's this, but yeah, I don't know. I know. I know their numbers in hockey they're not mine. They're not even year to year. They're their current favorite Yorkton Terrier player, and yeah. So I know Anders, his player would be Desi, and yeah, what Desi, whether Iron Man, I don't know.
There's a part of Rory's rapid fire that I always told myself is that never assume something before asking a question. So I'll take the onus on that one, and you can text Nugsy what they would assign each of them afterwards, and we appreciate that. Final one on Rory's rapid fire. You can technically end up playing 4 different teams still by the way this shakes out. And I know you're going to do a lot of prep. I know you're going to do a lot of video, and I know each of them have their challenges. But what team lines up in a way and executes in a way that is just uniquely difficult to coach against?
Well, I guess all of the answer is they're all unique challenges for sure. Melfort, vast experience, championship experience, a decor that is very, very hard to play our style against. Two goaltenders, it doesn't matter which one you're going against. It's like you're facing Callum Craig at his best every night. Flin Flon, a little bit more built, with a higher octane offense, I think. Again, a great decor, keeper, well-deserved, MVP candidate. I thought, he and Desi, like he means to the Flin Flon Bombers what Desi means to us. And so, yeah, I mean, when your best player's in that, it's hard to beat you. And especially, when you can score like Flin Flon does, and you factor in, how hard it is to get up to the Whitney Forum. It's a different shaped rink. It's a different sounding rink. That's a tough one for sure, especially on the road. Weyburn and us, it feels like a track meet every time we play them. They got really, really high-powered offensive players. They kill you on transition. Their special teams are good. Daza Mitchell, I almost said. Hopefully Daza Mitchell has a great time with Humboldt tonight, but Anthony Paul, like a tremendous goaltender. So yeah, I mean, Weyburn's a different kind of challenge. Battleford, they're giving Weyburn everything they can handle. I feel like every time we played Battleford this year, they were missing multiple players, so we haven't seen them at their absolute best. But I think Justin Merrick can be, when he's hot, he can be a game-changing goaltender for sure. I think that's everyone we can play. I mean, they're all different challenges for sure. I mean, Melfort, you gotta respect the reigning champions, and they know how to get the job done. And any of them are going to be tough. It's a day by day process, and who's mentally prepared for game one might have an edge, and then you look at like who's going to make the right adjustments, who's going to get the goaltending, and who's going to get the special teams and the bounces.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
There we go. Thank you, Emery. So I guess tonight, what's the plan for the watch party? A couple of cakes for the boys, or what are you thinking for the watch party tonight? For what do you got set up? What do you got planned?
The guys will be at their billets, and like I said, we're trying to treat the week like any other week. So, I mean, me and the coaches will be watching a little bit more intensely and watching specifically, which teams and how hard they are to play against and in what areas. But I mean, I think us and Melfort must be rooting for the same thing, and that's 2 more game 7s and a chance to play against someone that's a little bit more beat up than we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Emery, thanks for the chat today. I'll let you get back to the preparations, and we'll chat with you again down the road.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Emery Olauson, of course, of the Yorkton Terriers. Great chat there. We'll take one more break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into tonight's Game 6s. We're going to take a look at our playoff fantasy pool update and a little bit more, so stick around till after the break.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for a combined 324 season games. We take hockey players and we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 236. You could dye your own hair. Or you could save up to $20 a month on a new wireless plan with SaskTel Student Deals.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside for segment 3 of SJHL Weekly Playoff Edition, of course. Joined today on the chat line by Rory McGouran, and Nugsy just gave me the thumbs up because he is ready to go. We're going to dive into our fantasy update in terms of the playoff pools. We each picked 5 players after games 1 and 2 were complete, of course. But we each picked 5 players. Nugsy, can you give us an update on where we're at?
Yeah, the crew is way out ahead to
Really?
start with here. Yeah, they're at 37 points.
I shouldn't be surprised. They picked Ryder Ringer.
Ryder Ringer.
Yeah.
They have Hutchinson, Jordan Grill, Ivashenko, who's been on fire as well. So, good job, crew.
You guys didn't even pick the team. Stop putting your hands up like you're celebrating. You guys weren't
job,
even there.
crew. Yeah.
You're right. It's a team effort.
So
You're right.
then Rory is in second with the Yorkton 2 there. Coyle and Denoyer really leading the way. And then I'm in third, just barely, with Hunks and Piccinino doing a good job for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Moneymen are in last with Kotai and Summers, sort of leading for them, as well as Maharaj. So there you go.
Good.
So, but the crew have 37 in first place. Second place, Rory has 26. So a 9-point lead here early.
What am I at?
For the crew. You're at 23.
Okay, so it's close. It's
all
pretty close.
It's tight. It's tight.
It's tight. We got to catch that crew, though, man. All right, let's have a look at Game 6s then, guys. Let's dive right in. Rory, I'm going to start with you. Game 6 tonight, Flin Flon at Humboldt at the Elgar Peterson Arena. Again, 7:30 puck drop. Get your tickets now if you haven't already. It's going to be a great atmosphere, I presume. So, Rory, what's the keys to the game tonight? I guess for both, I'll give you Humboldt. Nugsy, if you want to give me the keys to the game for Flin Flon, that'd be great. But Rory, if you want to start with Humboldt, that'd be great.
Well, I'll tell you first and foremost, the broadcaster will not be pulled. You can tune in to me on Flow Hockey. I am not going anywhere. And you know what? The Broncos should have confidence that neither they are as well, because they've won both games at home. Yes, Dazza Mitchell has potentially stolen not one, but both of those games, but you got to win it in overtime, and they found a way to win both those games in overtime. So we talked about staying disciplined, right? That's a redundant fact now that the Humboldt Broncos absolutely have to do. It'll help having those players not have to kill so many crucial minutes on the penalty kill. But basically, do what you did in those 2 home games, because yes, Flin Flon had a plethora of shots, but it was, good in front of the net of Dazza. There wasn't a ton of home plate chances for Flin Flon. And then you found a way to grind 1 out, grind 2 out in front of your home fans. So don't lose confidence is my biggest thing for Humboldt. Know that you can complete this task and worry about the Whitney Forum when you have to worry about the Whitney Forum. You don't got to worry about that right now. You got the Elgar Peterson Arena, you got Game 6, and you have a chance to push this series, which basically has every single statistical stat not in your favor. It's all in the favor of the Flin Flon Bombers, a series that says that you probably shouldn't even be in Game 6, but you are, and you have a chance to make it a 1-game series in Game 7. So don't lose the confidence. Go in there and do what you did 2 times prior, and that's the key for Humboldt.
Rory, if Bronco fans are tuned in, and I know they are, what they will do is they will bring signs tonight to say, hey, Flin Flon, you should pull your broadcaster. And they should hold up the signs right underneath Rob Hart in the booth. I think that would be hilarious.
Rob Hart's got tenure. He's got tenure. He can't be pulled.
No, he can't be pulled. But the fan base should get behind you here, Rory, is all I'm saying. Nugsy, what are the keys? Okay. What are the keys to the game for Flin Flon?
I have 3 words for Flin Flon.
Oh, wow.
Not
Lioness in heat.
Sorry. Not a thing. Not a thing. Don't change anything. The
keep
Bombers
going.
are playing great.
Yeah.
They played the same way they did in game 3 and 4. Given the attrition that Humboldt is dealing with too right now, especially up the middle. Flin Flon should. I'm not saying Flin Flon's going to win. I'm not predicting. I'm just saying if they play the way they have been, they should give themselves a great chance to win. That's all.
And Dusty nailed it right there. You need to solve Dazza on that Humboldt ice.
There's a lot more thinking required by Braden Klamosko and Rory and the Broncos staff than Mike Reagan right now.
There you go. Let's move on to the Weyburn Battleford series. Again, Game 6 tonight in Battleford. It's at the ACC, 7:30 puck drop. Rory, maybe I'll start with you if you wouldn't mind taking the home team on this one, Battlefords. What's the keys to the game for Battlefords?
Yeah, they haven't been able to win at home yet. So it's the opposite is what Humboldt does. You got to find it within your group. You got to find it, listen to, the coaches, listen to your captain, Jackson Allen, who wants everything in his body to be on the ice there with you and find a way to get this to 7. Justin Merrick, I know it might think that it's going to tighten up. I don't feel like it will. I feel like this series is always going to have more high danger chances than the other series. So Justin Merrick's going to have to be on his game. Team defense and breakout in transition is going to have to be strong. Don't turn over the puck against the Weyburn Red Wings, and just believe in each other because they've proven that they can beat the Weyburn Red Wings not only in the regular season but now twice in the postseason. They just got to do it at home in front of that crowd. I feel like that early goal to get the home crowd into it's going to be important. It always is, and basically again believe in each other. Believe in what Jackson Allen and what he's been able to do when he's on the ice and how much he wants to be on the ice, and that can be your fire to go in and pick up a home victory.
And then for Weyburn, Nugsy?
Yeah, well, I think, I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again, these are just mirror images, these teams.
Yeah.
I don't care that they're 3-6, it means nothing. And that's why we say it's going to 7, because they're the two same teams going at each other. They have that superstar D-man. We got Grill for Battlefords. We got Chakrabarty for Weyburn. We've got Ivashenko. We've got Maharaj and DK. Like they're so similar in pretty much every way, these two teams. So really the keys are the same as well. Don't turn pucks over. Cody Mapes was very unhappy with how his team was turning pucks over, especially in the middle against Battlefords. The game-winning goal, the game-tying goal as well.
Yeah.
So, just clean things up. And again, Weyburn's got to feel good about the way they've played, especially at the ACC. So don't turn pucks over. Take your chances. Justin Merrick did have to make a lot of great saves to keep the game in it. So just Weyburn needs to take their chances. And then the third thing is, just Angelo Zola's got to be better than Justin Merrick. And I know that sounds simple, but Rory said it, I think 100%. This is not going to be a series that'll ever be, put the clamps on you. Like this is always going to be end to end. So at the end of the day, there'll be a moment where either Angelo Zola and Justin Merrick will have to make that huge save. And if you're Weyburn, the key's got to be Zola's got to make that save. And that's just the way it is. So
there you go.
Very, very similar both ways, though. That's all I gotta
both
say.
games are going to be electric. Let's have a look at the bracket one more time just to kind of wrap things up here for the day. As you can see, Melfort and Yorkton have secured their spots. They don't know their opponents yet for round 2, but that could possibly be determined tonight. At the latest, it will be determined on Wednesday. Tonight, we will see Flin Flon at Humboldt, as I mentioned, at the Elgar Peterson Arena, 7:30 puck drop, and Weyburn at Battlefords at the Access Communications Center, 7:30 puck drop. Get your tickets now. Get to the rinks. It's going to be a great, great night in both towns. But with that all being said, let's have one more shout out to our sponsors. And of course, that starts with Borgo, Canterra Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lottery, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, of course, our broadcast and playoff sponsor, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. And again, get your Flow Hockey subscription. Follow us on social media. We'll have you covered for all of these games that are going on this week and into the future. So again, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, over on YouTube, and get your Flow Hockey subscription today. Nugsy, thanks so much for joining us today. Rory, thanks so much for battling it out while you're in Humboldt, of course. There he is. Again, Star Wars hologram, Nugsy, or not Nugsy, Rory. So thanks for joining us, Rory. For Ryan and Jordan in the back, thanks to Emery Olauson for joining us today from Yorkton.
Hey, Nugsy.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
Fist bump.
Oh, yeah. What about me? You gotta go do the double one. You always do the double one. There you go.
I love that. I wish we had done this the whole game.
We are such huge nerds, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Beat me in, Scotty.
Enjoy the hockey, everyone. Get out to the rinks. I will actually not be here for Thursday's episode of SJHL Insider. Nugsie's going to handle it for you. I don't know what your plan is yet. I don't know if he knows what his plan is.
I'm going to actually ask Jacob Faith, so we'll see.
Wow, Jacob Faith. That'll be a great appearance. But I'll see you guys again in the... Actually, I'll be gone for most of the second round. So I'll probably see you guys by the time the finals roll around. We'll preview everything there. But Nugsy and Rory will have you covered, and possibly Jacob Faith and the guys in the back, of course. So we'll have you all covered. And bye for now. Enjoy the hockey, guys.